Alright, what's going on, guys? So today, excuse me, I'm going to show you guys two main things. I'm going to show you basically how to hack into FTP, as far as with brute force and dictionary attacks. If you know FTP, you know that many enterprise and companies and things use it to basically share their drives with everyone else in the company. So that's a really big one. And then I'm also going to show you guys uh, basically some cool things with website spidering, whatever you want to call it, crawling, whatever you call it. But basically, it's going to search the website. So the only problem I'm going to have, the first tool I'm going to show you guys is called Uniscan. Now the problem is, so here's Uniscan, all the different syntaxes and things. The problem is the internet here at this hotel is so slow that one of these scans is taking me 45 minutes to an hour for a simple scan. So the problem with that, like I said, is basically I did one or two scans and I was like, all right, I'm not going to do the scan. I'm just going to show you guys how to use the tool, and then I'm going to show you the syntaxes and the different things you would do, and then basically show you what a report looks like. Now, the reason that's important is because you can see here they're giving you some examples, and they're actually giving you, like this one, I don't know why it's doing that. It's got Q, W, E, D, and S. So you can run a very extensive scan. That scan with this internet would take me hours. I'm not sure why it's going or why the internet's so slow, but it is what it is. Excuse me. So let's look through the syntaxes. So you have Q, you have the enable directory check, so it's going to check for directories. Now, if you guys understand IIS and Apache servers and things, they're just files, right? So when you're going to a website, you're just going to a file. That's all you're really doing. So it's going to search for directories that you made. So that's always a good one to have, obviously. Now W, let's look at the W. Enable file checks. So you're not just searching for directories at that point, you're looking for files as well. Obviously, you want to do that as well. I did one of these, and I didn't do even all 5 of those, and it still took 45 minutes to an hour. So that's why I'm not going to do the scan on stream, or I mean on this, because it'll take forever. Enables robots.txt files. So that's actually really cool. If you guys have never seen robots.txt files, I'll show you guys here. We'll just and yes, that was the Mandalorian that I was watching. I haven't got through it yet, so no spoilers. So basically, we'll say what's a good website. We'll just say um, we'll just go straight to certifiedhacker.com, right? So this is not secure, which means this is probably a fake website. If we're being honest, this isn't the actual www. Maybe it is. I don't know. But anyway, so what you can do, and this is on any site. This isn't illegal or anything. Let's go to facebook.com, right? This isn't, nothing's wrong with this, but you can do the robots.txt file. Now all this is, you notice it says crawling Facebook is prohibited unless you have express written permission. So what that's telling you is don't go further than this, okay? And that's very important because if you start crawling for stuff, now you're breaking the law. All this is doing is telling basically every website that's on the domain or on the internet in general should have one of these if they were set up properly. A robot.txt file just tells basically Google and stuff, any crawling services, not to show these. Okay, the reason for that is pretty simple, right? If every time I Googled Facebook.com, I shouldn't be seeing all these things because some of them are completely irrelevant for most users, right? Some of them aren't. Some of them are administrative purposes, things like that. So we can go through here, see if we find anything. So like, see it says allow, so you can actually get the privacy statement. That's allowed. That's good, right? But the disallows are stuff that you probably shouldn't be seeing. So you can't see anybody's feed just from Googling. You can't see the photos and stuff like that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more to it than that, but that's always a good starting point for a website because that's showing you what that website doesn't want the internet to see, right? It's what they don't want someone to Google and find. Usually there's going to be, Facebook's a very secure website, so again, I wasn't worried about finding anything in that file, but sometimes you'll find a directory or something labeled admin or something like that. that shouldn't be publicly seen, I guess, in a sense. Like, you shouldn't be able to just see that and know it exists, because now you know where you're trying to get to, in a sense. Okay, so that's why. Now, so when you run a Uniscan, basically you're going to run whatever you want on it. You can run all these syntaxes if you want them, or all these options in the syntax if you want. Now, again, the scans take longer the more you add. So here's basically what it'll do. It'll run the scan, start running the scan, and it's testing nonstop. When it's finished running, it'll tell you where it saves it, and we'll just open this up, and if I can remember where they save it off the top of my head, I believe it's user share, unicast, or uniscan, I'm sorry, and then report. Yep. So then report. So now you can open it this way, or you can just type Firefox, and once you're in the directory, and it'll open up. Hopefully it runs here. Alright. So it was, what did we say it was? User. Did we say user? Maybe we did, I don't know. We'll just go back, and then we'll go to user. Wasn't it user? Yeah, user share, uniscan, report. Okay. Oh, I didn't. I'm an idiot. Alright, I thought I had CD already in there. Now we'll list it. There it is. So we'll say Firefox, and then we'll say www.certifiedhacker. There we go. Okay. So this is one of the ones I actually got to finish. But basically, it actually finally finished, which is good. And this one, I didn't even have very many things on it, so that's why you're not seeing a ton of stuff. But you can see here it says crawling finished found, and it did find 89 URLs. So now that means on that website alone, there's 89 other URLs. Now the other thing you gotta look for is you can actually get emails from this as well, which are very important, because even an email has a name attached to it, right? So that means that email, you probably have a way, you already probably have a username already listed right there, basically, for that web server. Any type of admin or anything like that, if you can see that, that's a problem, obviously. You can see here, it did dynamic tests. It found 4 directories along with 89 URLs. It did find some other stuff, but this, like I said, this was a very minimal one. I didn't actually run a lot of options, just because the first one took so long. I was like, what's going on? And then I checked my internet speed, and it was like, we're talking like 100 kilobytes per second. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this on a camera. So anyway, so this is what a report looks like, and it will produce this report for you, so you don't have to do anything. And it tells you the target IP, everything. It tells you the server type. I mean, it's a great starting point for websites. So this is very important that you know how to use this, or any other tools similar to it, okay? Because basically you want to know what a website crawler is and understand how to use one and what it does, okay? It's going to basically spider or crawl all the directories available to it. Now, if a directory is blocked, it may find the name, but it's not going to be able to access it. So anything inside those subdirectories, you're not going to see. So if there is an admin directory and you aren't supposed to be in there, and you don't have permissions to be in it, when you go to access it, it's just going to tell you there's an admin directory, if it even can see that. Keep that in mind. You're not going to see everything, okay? So the other tool we're going to use is a really cool tool. So we'll go ahead and go back. Okay, so this next tool is one of my favorite tools, because it's called Hydra, if you've never heard it. It's one of my favorite tools because, like I said, basically we know that most enterprise places run some sort of file transfer, right? So let's go ahead and look at our IP. There's our IP. So we're going to do a simple nmap. What was it? I don't even remember. 172.21. What was the last number? 223. Okay, so we're just going to run a really simple nmap. And I could have just ran it on just port 21 as well, just to see, which is probably what I should have done, just to save time. But there we go. Okay, so we can see 21 is open. Okay, so we know FTP is running on this. Interesting. Let's see what we can do. So let's try. Keep this in mind. This is kind of your steps you're going to walk through. So you're going to do FTP, and you're going to do the same IP. So 172.2.1.223. Okay, so we have a name, and we have a password it's asking for. Push enter. Password required. Okay. We can go ahead and control C, or we can go ahead and exit that. So we can't get into it with anonymous. So we can't just log in. So that's good to know, right? Okay, so now let's go ahead and see if we can figure out another way in. So this is where Hydra comes in. So we'll type Hydra, and you can see here, basically Hydra is going to use a word list and a password list and try and compare the names and the passwords for every single one. So keep in mind, if you've ever tried to brute force a password, that can even take a long time, but now you're trying to combine every combination of name and password. So this could take a really long time if you don't make one of your own word lists. So what I mean by that is really good hackers actually know their target well enough that they could probably make a word list themselves. So for this, to save time, I made a test list. Okay, so you can see here, actually I already had one open. So I have test names, and you can see I just put random names in there because I know one of them is our FTP name for the account. And then I put, for passwords, I just put random passwords. Now, keep in mind, if you open an actual word list, and I'll show you here on our names list here. So in rocku.txt, I'm not going to open rocku because it takes forever, but the names list, you can see here, this is just the names. So if I were to run this, okay, against or with a password list, you can see how many combinations that is, and it's going to take forever. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's very important because it's smarter to know your target, do some research, and that's where if you know a username or something, you can try it with that. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to type the syntax Hydra, and we're going to do the tac L for login, and we're doing capital L for the file. So keep that in mind because if you do just a lowercase l, it's looking for you to give it the username. Okay, so and some FTP passwords or accounts may lock out and things like that. So keep that stuff in mind. And this is probably going to typically be in a log somewhere if it tried to log in 500 times and didn't get it. So keep that in mind. So we got L. Now we're going to put the destination. We have root. And then we have desktop, and then we had, what we put, test list, yep, and then test names, okay? So there's our regular one. Now we're going to do a tac P for password list, and we're going to specify where it is too. And then we're going to say test file, or test list, and test, did I make it pass? Yeah, test pass, okay. So now we basically told it we want, as you can see, Hydra to start. We want to log in using the file of names, test names, and we want the password to be out of this list. So now we're just going to tell it FTP. We're going to tell it where, right? So we know our IP is 172.20.1.223. So it's going to brute force this. It's going to compare every combination of name and password. And you saw how few names I had and how few passwords. I think there's 70-something possibilities just off that. So let's go ahead and hit it. So you can see here, Hydra. Let's see, what's it say? Oh, I already had a session open. So, okay, boom. And you can see, look. So it says, let's go through it here. So it says, max 16 tasks per one server, overall 16 tasks, 70 login tries, okay? So 70 login tries just on those. I think I only had 5 or 6 on each, but here we go. So, and it's going to keep this in mind too. It's going to tell you every one that's accurate. So if you have 40 counts on your server, and let's say 20 of them are in this list, you're going to get all 20 of them. You're not just going to get the one. So keep that in mind. It's not going to stop after it gets one. It's going to keep trying until it gets to the bottom of the list. So we have port 21, FTP, host, login is John, and the password is apples1234, which is in our list. So we now have the password. So now let's try it. So FTP 172 what did I say, 20.1.223, and it's asking for a name, so we're going to try this, John, okay, and apples, 1, 2, 3, 4. And boom, we're in. So let's kind of look around here. List. So we have a test directory. So let's make a directory. Hacked. Okay, so it says hacked directory is created. Let's look. So this is obviously not. So here we go. So I believe I put it in or right here. So here we go. Shared. And look, there's our directory hacked. Right. So what's inside the directory? Nothing. So let's try and. Whoops. Okay, so it's saying nothing. So let's say let's make another directory named 1234. Okay, so we saw that in here was nothing, and now 1234 is here, and this is on my Windows machine. So we have access to the FTP server, and we have read and write capabilities. So keep that in mind as well when you do FTP. So we'll go ahead and exit. So keep in mind some people have different permissions as well. So you might have read access but not write access. So that type of stuff you want to keep in mind. This is where things get interesting because this is where you start seeing people. Remember, we have like this test.exe. That's a backdoor that we created in one of our previous labs. And keep in mind that this type of stuff, if I could put that into the FTP server, which I can, and I name it something very interesting, I could probably get someone to click on it, right? No one's ever seen it before, and it's sitting there, and it's like, fun game or something. Obviously, you're gonna name it something more clever than this, but fun game. And then someone opens it up, and it might be a game, but there's also an executable that ran in the background that then, in turn, gives us a backdoor, and they have no clue. So FTP is very, very, very powerful if you have access. Obviously, you can get information from it, but the other thing is, if they're using this directory on a constant basis, right, the chances of them knowing you're there is very thin or very slim, and so you may have another guy or user accounts, and you may be in there constantly. Maybe you're way in all the time to see what they're uploading, to see what they're, for a pen test. If you have an ongoing pen test and you're looking for other information to traverse, there may be documents on there that say, hey, on this network we did this, or on this network we did this, and you didn't even know those networks existed, but now you know. So keep that stuff in mind. There's so many uses for this. Keep in mind also that this can run for a very long time, okay? So again, if you have that FTP server running, that FTP brute force running with Hydra, it can run for a very long time, and I'm talking hundreds of days. It could run for years and never find anything if you have a long enough word list. So keep that stuff in mind. It's a little bit different than something like rainbow tables or trying to brute force a password, because a password you're brute forcing the hash. Here it's actually trying to guess that. So that's why I say it can compare those names and passwords and take very, very, very long time. So let me know what you guys think about these two labs. The spider crawl, I call it a spider, some people call it crawling website, whatever. Those are very good because those two things, even though you couldn't see them directly, to know how a crawler works and to know basically, because there's a million out there that you can use, but to know how it works and to understand what you're looking for is huge. So mess around with it. Create your own web server. Just do a Windows server, put IIS on, and make a shitload of directories, and then crawl it and see if you can find them. That type of stuff. That's what you want to be doing to practice this. And then obviously FTP, you can set up your own FTP server on your own desktop, and boom, you're ready to go, and you can try and hack into it all day long. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more of this. And once again, guys, I'm going to keep these going. Hopefully pump out a couple of more. I leave soon. So hopefully I can get a couple more up before I leave. But that's it. Thanks.